this end as well. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Oh, we haven't admitted everybody yet. Let me admit them. And then let's turn off the waiting room. There we go. Are we good now? All right. So welcome, everybody. We've gone live on YouTube and Facebook, and we are opening up the Zoom meeting. So I see people are connecting to their audio. So we'll give them a moment before we do introductions. But Scott, how are you today?
I'm doing great. And let me just say, I'm so thankful and grateful to have this opportunity to give you just a little taste of this missing link in education.
It seems like an interesting topic indeed. So our topic today, I want to pull that up so I can read it off. It's 9 rules of the game of life for aspiring angels and saints. And this topic description is pretty attractive, I have to say. It says, we're all playing a game. It's called the game of life, and it has rules. We're playing the game, and we're bound by the rules, whether we know them or not. If you don't know the rules, you can't play a very good game and will suffer and cause others to suffer too. In this chaotic world, there is a missing link in education, and we will begin to explore it by focusing our attention on these rules. That's quite a big proposition to discuss. Let's go through that. So our speaker biography, Mr. Scott A. Kinsey is an evaluative consultant for families and businesses, focusing on relationships. He is married and the father of 5 adult children. I wonder how much you had to go through raising 5 children in today's world. Like, how did that go about?
Well, this is a part of my personal story, and we don't have enough time to really go through it. But let me just tell you this, that I have 5 kids, 4 daughters and a son, and my last 3 are triplets. And I used to say they were for sale and they get cheaper every year. I'm not allowed to say that anymore. But I can tell you this, that by the grace of God, I was exposed to this body of knowledge that getting choked up even talking about it. It's so powerful. And it's absolutely what's missing in this world. And I'm not the guy to get it out to the world. I can tell you that right now. I can only do my little bit. But I've been working with this material for, over 20 years. And, well, matter of fact, can I get started, sort of? Okay.
Ready to go.
I'm going to start with a song. One night, in a moment of despair, with pain, I dropped down to my knees. I cried, said a little prayer. Lord, show me the way. And God, send me a ticket for a seat on the spiritual plane. And I flew through the heavens to find the spiritual world. And the angels came out to greet me. And they sang a song about love. And all at once, he embraced me. High above in the spiritual world. And that, in a metaphorical way, really happened to me. It really is an amazing story. And the things weren't working for me. I was practicing law, and you know, by the eyes of the world, I was successful. We had all these little kids running around, and there was my life. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. So when I began my journey, and it really is a remarkable story. I should write it down. I assume everybody's got a remarkable story, but so did things start to turn for me like that? No, but it did start like this. And in 1999, I was actually flying to a business conference, and a man by the name of Doug McAdam sent me a copy of Marion Lip. I started reading it.
A copy of what?
It's a book called Successful Self-Direction by a woman by the name of Marion Lippitt. And if you've not heard of her name, write it down.
Mary Ann Lippitt.
Marion Lippitt.
Marion Lippitt.
L-I-P-P-E-T-T.
Thank you.
Our friend Donald Streets, who was a close associate with Marion Lippitt, told me a while back, he said that 300 years from now, the world will be honoring Marion Lippitt for her contributions to the field of psychology. And so it's just an absolutely remarkable story. And there's no way that I can even, we can put our toe in the ocean. That's about it. But I hope that with the words that I say, that you will at least understand that there is one person on the face of the earth who worships the ground that Marion Lippitt and those that worked with her tread. And I'm going to spend the last breath I have in this earth trying to help other people learn this knowledge that is contained. She was part of it, but only part of it. And so she wrote, is this okay to keep going like this? Or do you want me to get into it?
I think it'd be great while you're talking if you could put something in the background so people don't just see the file on your screen, but it's fine, yeah.
Okay, Marion Lippitt wrote this book called The Worlds of God.
So it's actually really small on people's screen.
Yeah, well, I'm just showing it to you. It's The Worlds of God compilation, and it was published by the National Reference Library Committee back in the early 1970s. This knowledge is based on, I'm just going to show you these books. I know you can't see them. In the early 70s, there was a program for Baha'is called the Comprehensive Deepening Program. And a very, very important and well-known program. Justice reigns in central or special IDs, republished it a few years ago. This is based on the work of Daniel Jordan. I don't know if people have heard about Daniel Jordan, but he was a Rhodes Scholar, and he and others started a project called the Anisa model. So there are Baha'is that I think a lot of the younger Baha'is have never heard of this stuff. And so that's why I'm here today. I'm going to share with you what I believe is the missing link in education. We look at the world today. I was going to look at the newspaper, but every day somebody gets shot and murdered. We've got stories of people cheating each other. We've got people, acting out on their anger issues. We've got, fathers who turn their cars into road rage while their kids are in the back. We have grandmothers who shoot their grandsons in the leg because they won't take their iced tea cup off of the coffee table. We've got all things. We've got judges who put the janitor in contempt of court because he didn't squeak or oil his squeaky chair. People don't know how to act in ways that are in harmony with their purpose in life and their spirits. So that's just a little bit of background. I want to share as much of this as I can with you. Let me sing the second half of the song. This is what happens when you learn this knowledge. Okay? I'm flying high. I've been set free. I feel his love, I'm glad to say. My eye is on my fellow man, not me, because of that one special day when God sent me a ticket for a seat on the spiritual plane, and I flew through the heavens to find the spiritual world, and the angels came out to greet me, and they sang a song about love, and all at once he embraced me, high above in the spiritual world, and all at once he embraced me, high above in the spiritual world, high above in the spiritual world. Okay, so that's what happened to me. I went from there to there. And I'd like to go ahead and get started now, if that's all right. And so I'm going to share with you what I believe the missing link in education is. Okay, and it begins by asking the question, what is life? And for the most part, people will either say that life is a good thing or life is a bad thing. And depending on your view, it determines what you are going to make of your life. This missing knowledge explains that there are two different views of reality. The first view of reality, which is what most people see, is called the personal or egocentric viewpoint. You're looking at life from the ground up. And all there is to reality is what your five senses bring. I can see, I can hear, I can taste, I can touch, and I can smell. This bubble is all there is to reality. But that's not all there is to reality. And we can explain it with the back of a dollar bill. Most of you have seen this pyramid, and it's got the all-seeing eye, or the eye of knowledge, or the eye of reason, the eye of God. So when we're thinking of the personal or egocentric viewpoint of reality, we're looking at the pyramid from the bottom. That's right. Can you see that arrow? You were looking at the pyramid from the bottom of the pyramid. And when you look from the bottom of the pyramid, what is your reality? You're able to see one side of the pyramid, aren't you? As far as you're concerned, that's all there is to the reality of the pyramid, because that's all you see of it. Well, we know that there's more to reality than just one side of a pyramid, right? And so a second way to view the world and reality is from an overall viewpoint. Instead of a ground-up viewpoint, you're looking at things from the top down. So when we're looking up from the top of the pyramid, where the eye of knowledge is, what is our viewpoint? Well, we see that same side of the pyramid that the other viewpoint gives us. But, and here's where the missing knowledge is, we're able to see the other sides of the pyramid too. And so when we talk about what is reality, we're talking about being able to see all sides of that pyramid. And you will not be able to understand what reality is until you're able to see from the top of the pyramid. And so here's the problem that we have in the world. People are looking at reality from the bottom of the pyramid. Now, I titled this 9 Rules of the Game of Life for Aspiring Angels and Saints. I remember reading ABahá'í was the question. I might get them mixed up, but he was asked the question, what is an angel? I think he said something like, an angel is an advanced soul. Okay? And then he was asked, what is a saint? He said something like, a saint is a person whose higher nature dominates his lower nature. Okay? So, this eye of reason, this top-down vision, requires us to learn all aspects of the pyramid and to see its reality from all sides. And if we do that, then we can begin to act in ways that are consistent with our purpose as human beings. And it'll help us on our way of becoming advanced souls, or spirits who have learned to control their lower natures with their higher natures. So, we need to learn to see reality from the top of the pyramid. How do you see things from the top of the pyramid? Okay. See if I can get to it real quick. Okay, you see where I don't know how to enlarge that. Oh, here we go.
When you click on it, there's a scale underneath it that pops up and you have to drag the scale. Click on it again.
Oh.
And now there's a scale.
Thank you. You know, this is new territory for me.
No worries.
And you know what? This is part of the beauty of life. Life is not perfect. But if you understand what life is, it becomes perfect in an imperfect way. So here I do. I know how to use the Zoom now. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Great. So to see all sides of the pyramid, we have to first learn how to respond to the things that happen in our lives. You see that word STIM? It stands for a stimulus, okay? And here's a STIM. Since I can see you, John, this is coming right at you. This is a STIM, okay? Now, it stands for stimulus. Now, most people would look at that and say that's a problem. That's a potential problem. We could call this a damn warning signal. Now, I don't spell it D-A-M-N, I spell it D-A-M. This is a danger ahead, maybe, warning signal to John. And so, you see that as a potential red flag, right? And you have no choice, but you have to do three things as you react to this STIM that's coming at you. So what's the first thing that happens with that STIM?
You raise your hands up and say, don't do
No,
it.
that's the third thing that happens. What's the first thing that happens?
There's a signal that is coming to your brain telling you you're in danger.
You see it. You see it, right? And that's called your K power, which stands for your knowing power. Now, how is it? Can I use you as my guinea pig? Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay, so how is it that you're able to get that brain transmission and to process that into my fist?
So you have the actual image, which through light travels and hits my eye, and then my eye takes the signals through the nervous system to my brain.
Okay, that's a much more technical answer than I need. You see it, and how do you see it? You see it with your physical eyes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This STIM you see as your physical. Now, you know what? You got this big smile on your face. You don't seem worried at all. Now, let me say, if we were in a group setting, you might have been quaking in your boots. No. So the point is, you see it. You see it with your physical eyes, right?
Yeah.
The next thing that happens is you feel something. And you feel something with your loving power, your L power. And so, you know what? You just don't seem to be too bothered by me, right?
No.
Now, imagine a different scenario. I've got this marker here, right? Now, this is not a marker. This is actually a dart with a pointy tip.
Uh-oh.
And so now I'm going to throw this at you, this dart with a sharp point. Now, if that were real,
I would dodge it.
no, that's the third thing. You would feel something first. Now, first of all, you said you would dodge it. It's apt to just land in your hand if you do that, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Remember, this is a dart. Well, that's not, okay. So the point is you would feel something potentially different, right?
Yeah.
You see it, you feel it, and then you act. And the action is called candelicity, or your candle power, which is a combination of your knowing and your loving powers. Candelicity is like electricity. It has dual power. Electricity can heat you when you're cold. It can cool you when it's hot. But these are the three basic components to every reaction that you have to every STIM that you encounter. So, how many STIMs do we have in a day? Things like this, you know, can we say thousands?
A lot of them. A lot of them.
A lot of them. You know what? I've never done a presentation like this in this way. I spent half the day yesterday trying to put together a PowerPoint presentation. It didn't work. You know what? It didn't need to work. This all happened the way it was supposed to. And I'm going to take every bit of joy out of this as I can. It's not going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be. It just has to be real. So we have STIM after STIM after STIM after STIM. And so the first way to begin to understand, to see all sides of the pyramid is to recognize these three things. And so if I guess ask this question, are we happy in our lives? Aristotle said that happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. We all want to be happy and successful in our lives, don't we? And, you know, the broad brush says that less than a third of people are happy and successful in their lives. Another third are unhappy in their lives. And another third are really, really unhappy. So, you know, 2/3 of the people in the world are not happy and successful in their lives. And if you're not happy and successful in your life, what do you have to do to be happy and successful? Because everybody wants to be happy and successful. So what do you have to do? Well, what you have to do, whoops. Is you have to change the way you see things. Okay? You change the way you see things, which causes you to change the way you feel about things. Okay? If you feel differently about things, it will change the way you act. And this is absolutely how it works out. And so what we need to do is to learn how to see things differently. So how do we learn how? I'm sorry? I thought there was a question. So now we have to start learning how to see reality in a different way. So the first thing we have to know, or we can talk about, is let's talk about what reality is. We talked about the two different viewpoints of reality. We want to see things from the personal or egocentric view and not the overall view. So here's a simple definition of reality. Reality is what exists. Okay, this computer that I'm on, it exists. And these lights are on. I mean, we know what exists. This is a physical body in the physical world. And the people with the personal or egocentric viewpoint, that's what they operate on, is the physical world. So the second and most important part of reality is what underlies appearances. So this pen, it's a physical object, but there's more reality to this object than this pen. So now we can talk about what all of reality is. And to do that, we're going to talk about the reality of a toaster. Raise your hands if you know what a toaster is. It's a simple matter to talk about the reality of a toaster. Now, at this level, the bottom level, part of the reality of a toaster is that it has a name. It's called a toaster. Now, part of the reality of a toaster at this level is it has certain qualities. It's made of metal. It's got a cord. It's got wires in it. So we know what the physical properties of the toaster are. And it has action at this level. What's the action of a toaster? It makes toast, right? You pop a piece of bread and out pops a piece of toast. So that's one part of reality. And if you're operating in the physical material world, that's the level that you're operating in. The second level of reality says that a toaster has a life pattern. Okay? What is the life pattern of a toaster? The minerals to make it are mined. Well, even before that, somebody comes up with an idea to make a toaster, right? The minerals, it's manufactured, it's put in a box, it's shipped to your home, you pull it out of the box, you plug it in, you make a piece of toast. Tomorrow you make a bagel. The next day, English muffins. Each one of those steps makes up a part of the life pattern of that toaster. So eventually what happens in the life pattern of a toaster? Eventually it dies. There are different ways a toaster can die. My favorite way of illustrating it is when I taught this class in a jail years ago, and one of the inmates said at this moment, he said, "You know, my wife got mad at me, and she threw that toaster against the wall. And so that ended the life of that toaster. Crashed to the wall." Okay, so eventually the life pattern, if you set a toaster on a shelf for, 1,000,000 years, eventually it would disintegrate and return to the earth. It would eventually die. So the third level of reality is the most important part of reality. And I like to ask people, what is the most important part of the reality of a toaster? Yeah, people don't get it very often.
Satisfy the hunger.
Oh, okay. I didn't know somebody could answer. Satisfy the hunger. Okay, you've gotten 1 out of 2 right, and that would be said purpose. The purpose is to satisfy hunger. It would also be correct to say, okay, no, purpose to make a piece of, to satisfy hunger. Okay. There's another part of the most important part of reality. It has a purpose and it has what? It has power. Okay, what's the power of a toaster? Somebody might say make a piece of toast. Well, actually, it's the ability to convert electricity from the plug and convert it into heat to toast a piece of toast. So that's the most important part of the reality of a toaster. And if you don't know what the purpose and power of a toaster are, how are you going to be able to deal with it effectively? See, if we remove this top level here so that you don't understand the purpose and power, what are you going to be able to do with it? So my friend Doug McAdam told a story years ago that he and his wife, they biked to Mexico, 1,500 miles. And they went into a small village where there was no electricity. And on the front porch, they saw a refrigerator. And you know what they were using the refrigerator for? To store their shoes. So, you know, if you don't know what the purpose and power of a thing are, you can't use it effectively. That's the point. So when we talk about the top-down vision, we have to understand that this is all of reality here. We have to also understand what the purpose and powers of a thing are. So, you know what? We are, in a way, like toasters, aren't we? We have a name, we have qualities, we have action, we have a life pattern, which is a series of acts, each of which have a beginning and an end. And, you know, this talk we're doing today, this is one step in the life pattern of Scott Kinsey and the Clearwater Baha'is. Okay? And we as human beings have purpose and power. We're not teaching these things to anybody. I say that in relative terms. So we're not, this is the missing education, is we need to show all of reality to people instead of just a part of it. So we are like toasters in one way. Watch your eyes bug out. We're a lot more complicated than toasters, aren't we? So when we talk about our reality as human beings, we have to dig a little deeper. So here's my little caricature chart on our reality as human beings. And whoops, wrong one. This is a written version of it. This is a complete map of human nature. And so we obviously don't have time to go into all of this. And I want to save room to at least tell you what the rules of the game of life are. So hit me when I need to go into that. You know, Abdu'l-Baha tells us that we have two natures as human beings. We have what he calls a higher nature, and we have a lower nature. Okay, you might, you know, have read the story from Robert Louis Stevenson, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You probably watched The Wizard of Oz. And Dorothy was asked by the good witch, are you a good witch or a bad witch? Okay, you know, good witch is the higher higher nature, and the lower nature is the bad witch. You've seen the little angel on one shoulder and the devil on one shoulder. So as human beings, we have a higher nature and we have a lower nature. So it actually, I don't know how deep to get into this. This is a continuum, okay? And where you are in your life may be here, you may be here, you may be here, you may be here. So we're obviously striving to get better and better and better, and that's the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to learn how to act from your higher nature, okay? I'm here now, I want to get here, I want to be here. So you either predominantly higher nature or you're predominantly lower nature. Now, do we act from a higher nature? Do we act from our lower nature? Yes. When I act from my lower nature, am I in my higher nature? No. I have left paradise. But I can always turn back into my higher nature. And so there is a great quote from Buddha in a book called the Dhammapada. And I love this metaphor. Imagine on this side of, this is a scale of justice. And on this side of the scale of justice is a pot. And the word false are written on that, okay? And on this side of the scale of justice is a pot with the word virtues, okay? And it's a two-part verse that goes like this. Do not make light of your failings, saying, what are they to me? For a jug fills drop by drop. So the fool becomes brimful in folly. Second part, do not make light of your virtues, saying, what are they to me? For a jug fills drop by drop. So the wise man becomes brimful in virtue. So the question is, where are you in your life today? Now, I do this frequently when I go into jails, and I ask the inmates, I'll show you where I was, and you show me where you are in your life right now. Right now. So you might even want to do this for yourself at some point. Here's where I was before I learned this knowledge. My faults exceeded my virtues. And so, the inmates, you lose my hand because they say the floor is not deep enough for me to put where my faults are. They honestly do that. And so the way this works, when you have to handle all the STIMs in your life, moment by moment, test by test, STIM by STIM, you either pass the STIM or you fail it. It's as simple as that. If you pass the STIM, you get to put one drop in your virtues jug. If you fail the STIM, you must put one drop in your faults jug. Now, here's the interesting thing. We do this workshop, it takes 2 hours. The second class asked the same question of the inmates. Where are you today? Now remember, this is where they were after the first class. The second class, here's where they are after one class. That's where they are. from the first class to the second, they go from here to here. And I'm absolutely sincere when I say that. Now, why is it that their false jug has a lot more drops in it? It's not because they've acted differently or they've even learned how to act differently. What has happened is they have learned to see things differently. And they're just starting this journey to see things from the top of the pyramid. And that's the beauty of this. When I first started reading this program, Successful Self-Direction, I read the introductory chapter. And all I can say to you is that when I read that on the plane, the concepts that were in that introductory lesson jumped off the page and right into my heart. I didn't have to read anything more. I knew at once that this was the knowledge that was missing and that I needed in my life. And so thank God I got it. And so my kids have all benefited from it. And it's not easy to learn it. It's hard. It's hard work. And you know how do you learn it? Well, the best way to learn it is to be around people that know this stuff, that know the higher nature. They're not easy to find. Higher nature people are just not easy to find. Fortunately, I had Doug McAdam. We decided, I had an idea to start a program in a jail. He moved from Nebraska to Indiana. We started this program. A judge said he would start putting 10 inmates a week in the program. And so that was the beginning of it. But I had 2 years. Whoops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I had 2 years of mentorship from him. And so you really do learn it by teaching it. And he was a person to ask questions to and get advice from. And he learned this program from Marion Lippitt. And so, I never met Marion Lippitt. She died in the early 80s. But I say, from her to him, from me to you. And so I am hopeful that in some way with this presentation, you will feel attracted. Your hearts will be attracted to this knowledge, and that you will in some way want to learn it. And you might want to help other people learn it. So in terms of opportunities available, everybody in the world needs this missing knowledge. Okay, I can keep going. So at any time, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them. But let me go a little bit deeper into this. Now, this is really interesting. ABahá'í says we have two natures, a higher nature and a lower nature, right? We've all heard that. Well, maybe we haven't, but now here's the interesting thing. ABahá'í says we also, as human beings, have 3 degrees. I call it, in our program, we call them levels of awareness. So, what is a degree? How do 2 natures work with 3 degrees? I pose the question as the Big Bang Theory. They say, Salon, discussions. Now discuss. Wish we could. But that's, I didn't understand that before I had this. I have 2 natures and I have 3 degrees. How am I supposed to understand that? So Here's how we understand it, if there are no questions. The mind, this represents the body, the physical body, living in the material world, right? This represents the mind. That's the second level of awareness. And the third is the heart, or the spirit. Body, mind, and heart. Let me thank you again for inviting me here. This is great experience for me, and I think it's going to be the new way of presenting this in many ways.
It
Waiting
definitely
for
will
my-
help, especially with all the distance.
Sorry?
It will definitely help, especially with all the distancing we have to engage in at this point.
There we go.
Hello,
I
Scott?
think I froze there for a second.
Yes, you did.
Can you hear me?
I think we can, yes. Try it again. All right, so Scott, if you could reactivate your microphone. Your microphone's out right now.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you better.
All right. So what did I do? I didn't do anything.
Was it Alt S, Jeremiah, that he hits? I believe that's the case.
Yes.
Yes, Alt S, please.
To get what?
To share your screen once more.
Oh, Alt S.
Yes.
Okay, Alt S.
Scott, we need to make sure that you're actually selected on the application, the Zoom application, before you hit Alt S to share the
Oh.
screen.
That's a.
Am I here? Am I here? Can you hear me?
No, what we meant is to click on your Zoom application, the Zoom application itself, and then you do Alt S.
Where's the Zoom? Where's that at?
So do you see your toolbar anywhere?
I did. Well, yes.
Can you click on something safe on your toolbar without closing Zoom?
Okay.
Okay. So once you've clicked on Zoom and it's acknowledging you're in
okay.
Zoom, do Alt S as your function.
I see. Alt. I apologize.
That was a connection issue. No worries.
Okay. There we go. So I hit all, okay. There we go.
Yay, there we go. All
I
right.
apologize. Hey, you know what? The concourse, that was a concrete example of how life doesn't always go perfect. And I wrote a song called Life is Perfect, and in parentheses, in an imperfect way. And it's really true. Life is perfect if you understand that this stuff is all purposeful. So you can see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so this illustrates that we have 3 levels of awareness as human beings. The first level here is the world of matter. This represents the physical world that we have, right? We live in this physical world, and this circle represents the. I'm sorry?
Can you open it, the image?
Open it.
Yeah. Did you have it open, your image?
Yeah, can you see it?
No, we can see only your file. your folder.
Apologize. Now?
I think when you shared your screen, you only selected to share the folder itself and not your entire screen.
So I go back and do what?
Screen share again. There's a green screen share button.
Screen share.
Do Alt-S again, as long as you're clicking on your Zoom.
Yeah.
And then choose the proper screen.
Okay, I'm on now, so can I hit Alt-S?
Yes.
Okay. Alt-S.
Okay, we have to restart your screen share.
Oh my goodness. What do I do to do that?
I'm going to turn off your screen share. Okay, now can you turn it back on, please?
Oh, okay. Now turn it the screen share.
Yeah, Alt-S.
Oh, Alt.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And now choose to share your whole screen. So then you can go between your folder and the files you open.
I'm not seeing my screens yet.
Then click on the Zoom application so your computer recognizes.
Oh yeah.
You're making a command within Zoom.
I see.
So that's a quick Zoom lesson, everyone. If you want to share your screen on Zoom and you have the ability to, you need to make sure you click on your Zoom taskbar somewhere in your Zoom, whether it be the icon on your screen, whether it be your Zoom.
I'm hitting the Zoom button, but it's
Okay, now do Alt-S.
Oh, okay. Here, okay.
Yeah, that's your
Yeah, Alt-S. Oh, here we go.
Share your whole entire screen.
Are you seeing it?
You haven't initiated it yet.
Alt-S.
Yes.
Alt-S. It says quit Zoom, start Zoom, pin to taskbar, close window.
Okay, click on taskbar. Click on taskbar.
No, that is what this is. Quit Zoom.
Okay. Do you see there should be a share screen option?
I don't see no.
Oh no. Well, it looks like we're gonna have to skip then to the topic of the angels and saints and not have a show.
Well, I've got some charge for that too. Okay. Well. Okay.
It's fine as it is. We'll go from here.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to be able to put up a screen that said what the rules of the game of life are. You know, the Bible says that babies are born just a little bit below the angels. Doesn't say a bunch below, it says just a little bit below. And so if ABahá'í says that an angel is an advanced soul, then what does a baby need to do to go up just a little bit? I say he needs to learn about the higher nature. And he needs to learn to see the pyramid from the top so that he can see all sides of it. And once he begins to see all of reality, then he will be able to fulfill his purpose. Do you see that by chance?
Do we see what? The screen?
Yeah.
So I think it may be because we cut off your screen share that it may not be allowing you to do it. But the intent was that you restart your screen share. So let's just try one last time. So
right.
on your Zoom taskbar, you should have an option either on the top, the bottom. I don't know how you organize your screen.
So down below, I'm looking at a video.
Okay, you have your mute and stop video option, right?
Oh no, I'm actually.
Do you remember where you're able to unmute yourself?
Well, I know what you're talking about. I do not see my box. I see you, but I don't see my box.
So if you drag your mouse down to the image of where I'm at, my image.
I have it.
Okay, you should have an image that pops up and towards the end. It hides itself automatically, so you don't have to be annoyed by your taskbar. That's where the taskbar is going to be.
Yeah, but I don't see my box like I see your box. I mean, talking to you, but I don't see my image.
That's the point. That's how Zoom operates to make it easier for you.
So,
towards the bottom, you're going to see there's a taskbar where you have the option.
That's where I have all the, Dropbox and Microsoft's and Zoom and.
Not that one. We're talking about Zoom itself. The Zoom menu, it's on the image. Where you see my face, if that's the main thing you see, on the bottom, you're going to have all these other features. Mute, stop video, security, chat, share screen.
So I'm looking at.
We're not talking about the taskbar for your computer. We're
I
talking
hear
about the taskbar for your image, the one that shows my face on it right now.
Okay.
I cannot show you my screen because it's not going to work. It's not going to show my Zoom.
I hear you. Okay, well, I'm just so sorry.
If you look at my image,
yes,
you see this screen on the
I
bottom?
have all that. I do.
Okay, this green button that says share screen.
Yeah, I don't see that on yours. I see you got a microphone and a video. And
yeah, but you don't see any of these items?
Not on yours, no.
That is a shame.
So there's I press this on the bottom. I hit, it says task. It says quit Zoom, start Zoom, pin taskbar, close window. So I don't know. It says quit. Does that mean I'm on it and start it? Do I need to start it again?
No, I don't know. Can you?
Okay.
If you want me to share this file, really, I can. Let me see who can share. Okay, let's. Now try to share it. Now tell me if you see the menu. I just changed
your menu. No.
Can you see it? Go back there again where you said you saw the mute option. Go down.
Oh, I see. No.
Press Alt S. See if that works.
Alt?
Yes. One more time.
Yeah. Where's Alt? Oh, there. Alt S.
Did the option come up?
It says, no, it pressed the button, leave meeting. No, I don't cancel that.
Alt S?
I pressed Alt S. No, nothing happened. I'm just.
We took out the share screen function feature where it doesn't allow people to watch. All right, well, we're going to just have to go on.
Right.
Sorry about that.
So how much time do we have left? I apologize.
No, it's not a problem. Let's continue with the part where we're talking about the angels and saints.
All right. So you can tell, obviously, there's a lot of information here, and there's no way to put it all in a presentation.
If you share it with me in an email, if you can do it very quickly, I can show it on my screen.
John, let's just move on. He can speak he can continue the presentation as is in audio form, and we can take care of all this later. But he can go through his presentation now and just continue where he was at and speak as if he has it up there, and we'll take care of it afterwards. Okay?
Okay,
All
so I apologize. You know what? All I can do is my best. And so
so let's restart from the 2 natures and the 3 degrees, and then just continue from there.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't know how much time I have left, but I'll do my best.
We're at 30 minutes. Don't worry.
Right. So we have 2 degrees or 3 degrees, which are body, mind, and heart. We have 2 natures, higher and lower. And so you saw my levels there. And the lower level is the body, and that includes the physical world. And each of these levels have purpose. And the purpose of the lower physical body level, material level, it's twofold. Our purpose is to survive at all costs, to kill or be killed, and our purpose is to self-reproduce. The knowing power of the body level, the bottom level, are the 5 senses, as we discussed before. The loving power, and once again, when we talk about seeing STIMs correctly, we have to see the knowing powers and we have to see the loving powers. And so the loving power of the body level is called self-love. And, you know, it's kill or be killed. I have to focus on my interest instead of yours. Now, the body level operates in 3 dimensions of physical space: length, width, and height. We live in a 3-dimensional world. And there is action from the body level. One is called TRAP, T-R-A-P, which stands for take and repeat anything pleasant. And the other way of acting is called, it's an acronym, S-P-U-F-F, which stands for stop or prevent unpleasantness through fight or flight. And so that's the only action that we can take at this level. We can take and repeat anything pleasant for us, or we can stop or prevent unpleasantness through fight or flight. Now that works perfectly for animals. It's all an animal has. The animal operates in the physical world, and it works perfectly for him, for it. But we, on the other hand, as human beings, we have other degrees, as mentioned. The second level is called the mind. And it has purpose. The purpose of the mind level is called survival with altruism. I'll give you this example. I have 3 candy bars. Jeremiah, you get one. It's nothing off my skin to give you a candy bar. I'm sorry, but I need 2 candy bars. And if I only have 2, you're not getting a candy bar. So altruism at this level is we're thinking of the betterment of others, but only to a certain point. And it can be expressed in this way: I'll help you if it doesn't hurt me to. T-O, if it doesn't hurt me to. I asked an inmate once, or a class, can you give me an example of survival with altruism? And he said, heck, some of you are probably too young to remember the days before Kroger's had their fresh ID cards. There used to be a time when something was on sale and they just marked the price down. You went in and you bought it. And then they came out with this fancy cards, this card. We're going to give you a card and you're going to get a discount price, right? Well, they're not giving you anything you didn't already have before, but now you have to carry this card to get a discount. And he was right. That's a good example of of survival with altruism, where they're giving you a discount, they're doing something to help you, but they're also doing it for a reason. They want to keep track of your spending habits so that they can market their sales to you. So that's a good example of survival with altruism. So this level has knowing power. We call it K power, and the knowing power is the power of the intellect. And as ABahá'í teaches, there are five components to the power of the intellect. One is the power of thought. One is the power of comprehension. One is the power of imagination. Now the fourth one is called, he calls it memory, but I call it the super memory, because I've had people argue with me about whether an animal has a memory. And I remember reading an article or hearing a report that a goldfish has a memory of 3 seconds. Okay. We're not going to debate the question of whether a goldfish has a memory or not. Let's just recognize that the human memory is not anything comparable to what, if anything, an animal has. Now, the fifth component of the intellect is called the common faculty, and many people haven't heard of that before. The common faculty uses the power that comes in from the five senses. And it is able to convert that knowledge from the five senses in a way that the other powers of the intellect can use. You know, for example, you hear a sound in the street and it's a fire truck. Well, okay, how is it you know it's a fire truck without seeing it? Well, your five senses heard it. You heard the sound of the fire truck. You have a memory of the sound of a fire truck, and you're able to use those other powers to understand that that's a fire truck there. And so a good example for the common faculty is this. I have to chuckle because I've already demonstrated that I know practically nothing about computers. But I do know this, that there's this thing in this computer called the central processing unit, the CPU. I can't go much farther than that, but the CPU is able to convert, you know, you're typing on a keyboard, right? If I want to type, put a letter W on the screen, what do? I push a button on this computer keyboard that says W. Well, is that a W? No, it's a physical act, but the CPU is able to take that physical act and convert it into a W on the screen, right? So that's a really good example of what the common faculty, I think it's a good example of what the common faculty does. This level has loving power. It's called self-love with altruism, which says, I'll help you if it doesn't hurt me to. I got to remember with the survival with altruism, that was an example where I'll help you if it helps me to. No, I'll help you if it helps me to. That's survival with altruism. I don't know if I said that right before. Kroger was getting the information on me. There's a purpose for the card, and I get the benefit from them. Self-love with altruism is I'll help you if it doesn't hurt me to, T-O-O. Okay, so that's the difference. And a good example of that is a quote from Mark Twain. who talked about bankers. And he says that a banker is the guy who'll give you his umbrella when the sun's out. And he'll want it back as soon as it starts to rain. Okay, so that's a really, I think, a good example of self-love with altruism. If it's the sun's out, what is, you know, a person, it's nothing off the banker's skin to give it to you, right? He's doing something altruistic to help you, but only to a point. So this level has an additional fourth dimension. 3 levels, 3 dimensions on the body level, a fourth dimension of time. And unlike animals, with the power of our intellect, we can live in the past and we can live in the future. So we can live in the past with our memory, and we can live in the future with our imagination, right? If I were to ask you, what is your favorite memory as a child of a vacation? You'll go right, you can't see me, can you?
We can see you.
Oh, okay. I snapped my fingers. Here I am talking to the screen, I thought.
No, we can see you. Now it's just instead of having a screen share with a smaller image of us, now we are the main screen. Now this is what people see.
Okay. Well, I hope people are benefiting, will benefit from this. Maybe we'll try to take 2 someday. I'll probably be better or have one of my kids here to help. Okay, so in an instant, you go back to your memory, don't you? You remember, you know what? When I was 12 years old, we took a 2-week trip to the Rocky Mountains. Then we drove for a week, and then we drove to Dallas, Texas, and we went to spend, I was 12, we went to spend the week with my uncle, Howard Menking, who was a Knight of Baha'u'llah. And many Baha'is think fondly of him. But that's what our memory does. My wife and I were scheduled to go next month to Hawaii. I've been to 49 states and I'm missing one. Guess which one? Hawaii. So my imagination takes me to Hawaii. But guess what? My wife says, I'm sorry to inform you that we've had to cancel the Hawaii trip because Hawaii's quarantining. You get there, you got to stay there quarantined, self-quarantining for 2 weeks before you can do anything. And she has informed me that we will not be doing that. So I can still imagine going there. So I'll have to actually do it another time. So that's the 4th dimension. We add the dimension of time. Now, the action of the middle level is called lift, which stands for look into the future of things. It's where it's imagine was it a lady with a crystal ball? She could see that. Genie, is it? Or I don't remember. Crystal ball. We can actually imagine consequences. A what?
Fortune teller?
A fortune teller. Thank you. Imagine her with her crystal ball. You have the power to imagine consequences to your actions, right? Before you undertake them. And so you can think of things that, you know, I'm pretty mad at this guy over here because he's not wearing a face mask. What do? Well, now, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Depends on who it is.
Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself, but so there's a good example. You can look into the future of things and you can say, well, if I walked up to that guy and I punch him in his nose, that's going to lead to this consequence, right? Maybe I better not do it. Maybe I better not undertake that action. So you can think before you act. And this is we operate on our emotions. We act on our feelings, right? You get mad, you punch somebody. But if we can just take that breath of space to think before we undertake the action, that makes all the difference in the world. You know, Shakespeare, I love this quote from Shakespeare in the play Hamlet. He says, "There's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." We have the power to control our feelings by our thoughts. And going back to the reactions to the STIM that we talked about earlier, you see the STIM with your knowing power. You feel the STIM, and it causes you to act. If you don't have this knowledge, you're not thinking about consequences to your actions. You're just acting. And we're actually prisoners to our emotions. And we end up acting in ways that are not good for us and others. So that's look into the future of things. When we are at the top of the pyramid, we have to use all of these powers, the powers at the body level, the powers of the mind level, and then we get up to the third level, which is the level of the heart or the level of the spirit. And so at this level has purpose. Abdu'l-Bahá was asked the question, what is the purpose of life? I like to ask people, you know, the dialogue is nice, but we don't have it here. He said that the purpose of life is to acquire virtues. I'm sorry?
What kinds of virtues?
Well, we could get into that. I mean, it's a positive characteristic as opposed to a negative one. Unity is my favorite example. Oneness, you know, faithfulness, compassion, you know, all of the qualities of higher nature behavior. This is why we're here. You think about the baby that's in the mother's womb. Life as it knows it's good. It's got all its meals, its housing's covered, but then it dies. It dies into a new world. But yet it's born into this world. And while the baby was in the womb, it was still growing fingers and toes and ears and such. And well, it didn't need that stuff in that world. It needed it in this world. So it was preparing itself for the next world. And so in a way, we're growing fingers and toes and ears. They're proverbial in this world that we're going to need in the next world. And so those are the virtues. When I can show my love to my fellow man and fulfill my purpose, then I will, you know, I'll just say a good example. Look, you're not frustrated with the way this thing went. I'm not frustrated. This is life. And you know what? I wish it would go perfect, but it, you know, it's not meant to be. So let's work on the
benefit of recording this is that afterward, Jeremiah will be able to come back and use your material you give us, and we'll be able to even put it on the screen anyway.
Put him to the test. It's going to be a week project anyway. 1 week, you know, not WEAK. But, you know, this is a good example where you know, is it good or bad that this happened? It just is. As Shakespeare said, there's nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So when we talk about a STIM, a stimulus, you can look at that and say that's a problem. That's a potential problem. But with this knowledge, you don't say that. You say this is an opportunity. You say thank you. You know, the hidden words tell us we should ask God for tests. How many people do that? Ask God for tests. You know what? You start thinking in this way, and more you begin to ask for tests because you understand These are all gifts to us. And you know what? Sometimes you act right. You get to put a drop in your virtues jug. Sometimes you act wrong. You got to put a drop in your faults jug. You know what? Go to bed, get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow, pick up, put yourself up by the bootstraps and start tomorrow. You know what? Doing right tomorrow. As the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tse, there really was an ancient Chinese philosopher, many of them actually. He wrote a famous book called the Tao Te Ching. And in that book, he said, if you're depressed, you're focused on the past. If you're anxious, you're focused on the future. If you're at peace, you're focused on the present. This moment is all we have right now, right? Tomorrow will come when it does. Yesterday's done. If you're going to go back and be upset about what happened yesterday, you're missing out on this moment in front of you. And it's not, well, it's moment by moment, test by test. Okay, so where are we? So we're learning the virtue of patience here. You guys are learning the virtue of forgiveness of me for, I'll say it. But yet you're also probably very empathetic. You're understanding that, look, this guy's a lot older than us young people. So we'll cut him a little slack. And, Jeremy can, what is it? Something about making something dirty pig clean or something. I forget. What's the phrase? Okay, so the knowing power. This level has knowing powers. There are actually two of them. One is the power of faith. Now, there's several definitions of faith, and I love them. The simplest one, for me, faith is trusting someone who knows more than you, right? You have to put somebody on your list that knows more than you. So who do you put on your list? I have lots of people I put on my list. If you don't put anybody on your list, you're going to be operating only from the body level. You're not going to achieve your purpose, your happiness, and your success. You have to put somebody on your list, or then it's just your own ego going at it. So oftentimes I ask this question of inmates in jail, who do you put on your list? And everybody says, I put Jesus Christ on my list as my Lord and Savior. Well, you're putting him on your list as trusting someone who knows more than you, which means that if you put him on your list, you have to be prepared to do what he tells you to do, right? And when Jesus was asked, what do you do if somebody slaps you on the cheek? What does he say do? Turn the other cheek. That's right. Now, these guys in the jail go, well, I am not doing that. It's going to be on, I'm going to kill him, or, whatever. Well, okay. If you're not prepared to do what Jesus tells you to do, then take him off your list, because you don't trust him as knowing more than you. You got to put somebody on the list. The other knowing power at this level is the inner voice. It's the power of intuition. It's your conscious speaking. A spiritual person would call it the Holy Spirit that speaks to you. You can always consult the Holy Spirit, and it'll guide you in your decision making. Now, I'm sorry?
On that basis, there's a question from someone in our community who's asked, in regards to faith, is that why consultation in the local spiritual assemblies are so important? so that each community has by default people on their list to trust?
Well, my answer simply with that is, we know the value of consultation as Baha'is, and the notion that two heads are better than one is absolutely true. Now, we all can go through examples of consultation that went awry, and I can look back on assembly meetings where people got so mad they screamed and shouted and huffed and left the session just so mad. Well, that's not what consultation is. To consult, the first prerequisite is that we have to all be in the right spirit to do that. We have to be in our higher natures, because when you're in your lower nature, it serves no purpose. I'll give you one really practical example that's on my brain right now. My son Daniel, he's my only son, he got mad at me. I don't remember what for. He was 15. And he yelled at me through a door. He said, "You're such an a-hole." He didn't say a-hole. He said a-hole. We don't speak like that in our family, but he said that. He was so mad. Now, what do you do as a father to a son who does that? Well, the answer is that at that moment I did nothing, because he was angry. And when he's angry, you can't have a constructive discussion with him. You have to wait. You have to wait until he gets back into his higher nature. And so later on that day, I drove him to a soccer practice. And before we got in the car, he said, "Dad, I want to apologize to you. I got mad and I said something I shouldn't, and I got in my lower nature, and I'm sorry." Now, when he sat in the car and we drove for a half an hour to the soccer practice, my gosh, that's the time to talk to him. We're both in our higher natures. I can say anything to him. And so that's what consultation is. And so, if you're talking about faults in the context of consultation, you have to be really careful. You have to figure out how to say something from your higher nature. And Abdu'l-Bahá spoke very, don't say anything to sadden a heart. And if you got something to say to somebody, you say it from your higher nature. Now, my middle daughter, Natalie, for years, she's one of these kids who she runs hot and cold. When she's good, she's good. And when she's mad, you better not be standing in front of her, because you're going to get the wrath, right? We've all met people like this. And so in my dealings with her, when she's mad about something, I put my hand up and I say, "Natalie, I'm not going to have this discussion with you right now." And so for years, she says, "Dad, you avoid confrontation." And I say, "No, I don't avoid confrontation. I just have a simple condition that I'll talk to you about anything as long as we speak from our higher natures." And you know what she said? "Sometimes you can't say things from your higher nature." Then you don't speak. Then you don't speak. If you can't say something from your higher nature, you don't speak.
As they say, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say it.
Absolutely. And so she's now 30, and I just say, I wish I could spend time just bragging on my kids.
But I do have a question from you, actually, about this same subject from Alex, who's watching us here on Facebook. And
Okay.
I got the other computer up to read it off. So if you don't mind, I want to look away from you for a moment. It says, first, he appreciates your presentation. He says, "Thank you. And he wants to know if you have any advice about how one might balance the faculty of thought with that of spontaneity, how one might discern from which of our natures, the higher or the lower, one's intention to act or speak springs. So I can say that again if you like.
Yeah, you don't need to unless you want to. That's a very good question. And my answer is that it comes with practice. Test by test, moment by moment, STIM by STIM, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, month by month. You'll spend the rest, if this knowledge, if you're attracted to it, you'll spend the rest of your life working with this knowledge. Now, it starts out, and I hope this gets to the question, but it starts out, you learn this with instruction. When I talk about the rules of the game of life, that's my way of getting into this. We're getting into it now. You're not going to get it all, but hopefully you'll at least get attracted to it, that you can begin to say, there's something, like I did. You've heard enough now to say whether this is something that your heart is attracted to. This is a start. I want to learn this. So instruction is the first way to learn this. In this program, Successful Self-Direction, that I read, that I learned with Doug McAdams, that I've taught in jails and stuff, is 13 lessons. And so each lesson is a 2-hour workshop. And the instruction, you're learning these rules, and you know what, you're not going to remember them all, but you know what, you'll remember some of them. You'll remember, well, I have 2 natures and 3 levels. Well, how does that work? I haven't even told you how it works yet. I need to do that. But the only way that you can discern this stuff, this is higher nature action or this lower nature, is by learning the rules. And you learn the rules by instruction. Have somebody help you learn. I don't think you can read a book and just learn it. You can read books and books and books, and you're not going to learn this stuff. You need to surround yourself around people who know this stuff. And there's different ways to get this stuff. But if you hang around people that are focused on doing the wrong things and, greed, there's 3 gates in hell, or gates of hell in Hinduism. You know what they are? One is anger, one is greed, and one is lust. Well, how many people are in one of those? A lot of people are in one of those people, or in one of those. If you hang around those people, you're not going to learn this stuff like you would if you hang around higher nature people. You connect with people, the scriptures all say this. You associate with the righteous and you flee the ungodly. And so instruction is the first way to learn this. The second way to learn this is called mentoring. And that's where you seek out, you call up somebody who knows this stuff and say, hey, I got this situation. We were talking about consultation earlier. You know what? I need to consult with the assembly about this issue that's troubling me. I have this addiction that I don't know how to, and think of all the addictions. Oh my gosh, all these addictions that are destroying people's lives. And when you act out on your addictions, you're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting people that you love, people around you. We just could talk on and on about this, but mentoring. So you get wisdom from people that know this stuff. I'll just mention the name Don Streets. If you ever have a chance to talk to Don Streets, do it. He's one of these people who's lived this stuff all his life, and he's so brilliant. So surround yourself around people and be mentored and teach this stuff yourself. And then the third way to learn this stuff, practice with feedback. you know what? You got these concepts, and go out and live your life, and you start trying to work these concepts. I mean, we can give you an exercise for next week. You know, give one example where you got mad at a store and what you did to try to react to it in the right way. There you go. You bring that to the class the next time. Practice with feedback, and you discuss what worked and what didn't work. I can give you lots and lots of examples. We don't have time for examples. I'll give you one quick one in business. When my kids were little, there were no groceries in the house, and I had to go to Kroger at 6:30 in the morning to buy some stuff for the kids to eat for breakfast. I go in there, big, huge Kroger. There's one guy working the whole store. He's outside smoking a cigarette. And I walk in and I buy my things, and they have their 10 for $10 specials. And I bought 10 bottles of soda pop that my wife's addicted to. And I went to ring, and the checkout self-check wasn't open. The only lane that was open was the 20 items or fewer. And it's lit, and he's out smoking a cigarette. So I'm standing there waiting for him to come in. He looks in the window, finally sees me. He's an old guy, heavy set, walks in the store, waddles his way all the way over there, and takes one look at my order. And you know what he says in a lower nature way? He says, I have to ring up each one of these effing things separately. Now, he didn't say effing. He said effing. Now, should we even have to have a conversation with him or the company about whether it's okay for you to tell the customer to F off? This is the dysfunction that our world is right now. You think about politics, the Democrats and the Republicans, nobody wants to consult about the people. I want to ramrod my ideas through. My way is the only way that work, and if you don't like it, then there's something wrong with you. So why did that guy say that in that store? Well, he said it because that's the best that's expected of him in that store. Okay? You know, we have lower nature. A third of the people are lower nature. A third of the people are lower nature. A third of the people are higher nature, and higher nature people. So it's on the manager. The two most important qualities, is it in your interest to have higher nature people working for you as the manager? Hey, your bottom line is going to work best if you have people who know this knowledge, right, and act from their higher natures. So the two most important factors in having happy and engaged employees. Number one, your relationship with your coworkers. If you don't like your coworkers, you're going to hate your job, and you're not going to want to work in that environment. And number two, it's said in this way: the level to which the employee feels appreciated for the work that he does. And that's on the manager. It's on the manager to go up to that guy and say, hey, how's your day going? You know, I really value your work as an employee. And make sure he feels appreciated. That guy doesn't feel appreciated. He's only there to get a paycheck. And when I say lower nature, the research calls him an actively disengaged employee, where he is so miserable in his life and circumstances that he actually subverts the good interest of the company. And so, hey, those are the employees we really don't want. And so, do I have time for a quick story or not?
Jeremiah?
No? I wanted to give you my 9 rules real quick. I can do that in 2 or 3 minutes, but I mean, they're just.
All right, we have until 12:45, so you have a couple minutes. Go ahead.
Just a couple minutes.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to move on. But I just want you to know that I'm just trying to give you a taste of this. And so let's see. Higher nature. Okay, yeah, that's where I was. So okay. The loving power is selfless love, which is the opposite of self-love. The purpose, Jesus said, there's no greater love than this, that a man will lay down his life for another. That's the highest form of love, is to serve your fellow man. And the highest form of love is for you to lay down your life for another. It doesn't mean you have to die completely in this physical world. If you do something from your higher nature, if you want to show love to your wife and you give her a hug, or you want to go out and do a project with your son or something, you're giving up a little portion of your life. That's what selfless love is. So there's a fifth dimension that we operate on. We add purpose and power. To a spiritual person, it's revealed knowledge. The bottom level, the body level is instinctual knowledge. The mind level is acquired knowledge. We acquire it by learning. The top level is called revealed knowledge, and it's revealed from messengers of God. And so the action of this level, it's called GAP, growth ahead, please. And so I wish I had more time, but this is where you turn to the universe or the creator or God for direction. And I have several tricks that I use. I'll just give you one example, and we'll have to move on. I have so many. I have probably hundreds or thousands of stories like this that are experiences that have taught me this knowledge. That, by the way, is found in all the religions. These are the universal truths that are found in all the religions. All of the messengers of God have taught these things. And so, as a Baha'i, frequently we get bogged down into, what are the universal truths? I'll say these are the universal truths, and they can be found in all the religions. But I'll tell you one more story. This one's about my wife. Some of my kids lived up in Michigan, and my triplets and me and my mom were driving to Michigan, and my daughter Momo was driving, and we got on the interchange up around Gas City to Interstate 69, and we switched drivers, and so I'm now the driver, and I'm driving, and my mom, who's 90 or 89 years old now, she's sitting in the middle of, it's a van, she's sitting in the middle of the back seat, middle seat. My wife's in the passenger side reading a book. She loves to read. And so my wife says, and we got the music turned on, and my mom asked me a question. And so I started to answer the question. Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, my wife's reading, and she says to me, "I'm sad." I said, "Why are you sad?" And she says, "I want to keep reading my book, but it's getting dark out, and I can't see in the desk." And I said, "Well, just turn your passenger light on." And she says, "Well, I don't want to turn on and bother you driving. I know that would be an inconvenience." So I said, turn the light on. Just read." And she was very grateful. She starts reading her book. And 5 minutes later, my mom, she asked me a question. And so I started answering the question. And all of a sudden, my wife reaches over and she shuts the radio off. And she's mad. Well, my first instinct was to say, "Why did you do that?" And she says, "Because I'm not listening to you talk to your mom while you're listening to the radio. So now we're in silence. And I am mad. I am mad because I just did something really nice for my higher nature to show selflessness to my wife. And she thanked me by fighting me. The lower level, we call that stop or prevent unpleasantness through fight. And she was fighting me. And so I got mad and I decided that I wasn't going to say a word. I wasn't going to speak. And how long would I drive until somebody would realize that I'm not speaking? Well, okay, we're driving, and now I'm in my lower nature, speaking or not speaking, and we call that stop or prevent unpleasantness through flight. And in being mad, I probably, if I had a bag of potato chips there, I probably would have eaten them, because that's trap, take and repeat anything pleasant. Or maybe a box of ding-dongs. So I am mad, and well, everything's going along just fine for everybody else in the van, and nobody notices, the radio's off. And so I start doing all of my little tricks and to get into my higher nature, because I know what this is. It's a test, but I'm mad. How do I get in my higher nature? I know I want to. I wish I wouldn't get mad. How do I get in my higher nature? And I tried all my tricks. I got lots of tricks. One of my tricks is to say the greatest name. Abdu'l-Baha says, the greatest name, Allahu Abha, should be found on the lips in the first awakening moments of early dawn. It should be fed upon by constant use in daily invocation, in trouble, under opposition, and should be the last word breathed when the head rests a pillow at night. It is a name of comfort, protection, happiness, illumination, love, and unity. Well, that's pretty much everything. So I say that over and over and over again. And by the way, I say that over and over again all through the day. I do what Abdu'l-Baha's advice is. And I say it when I'm happy, and I say it when I'm in my lower nature. But nothing was working for me. I have some more tricks now that I use. One of my new ones is I say to God, guide me to think, speak, and act from my higher nature. I like to say that over and over again. But I'm trying my tricks. I got others, but I drove for 93 miles. Did not say a word. Nobody asked me anything. Nobody even knew that I was silent. And then on the 93rd mile, I started chuckling. I had a big smile on my head, because what I failed to do was the thing that I think is, for me, about the most important thing of all. And I said, I can't believe it. I drove 93 miles and I didn't even do the thing that I tell everybody to do. I have to take a pause just to laugh. So I chuckled to myself and I said, okay, I know I'm going to get an answer right away. And I said, what action do you wish me to take to remove this negative emotion that I feel? And I got a lightning bolt answer. And the lightning bolt answer was this: ask your wife if it's okay to turn the radio back on. I looked at my wife and I said, do you mind if I turn the radio back on? She said, I don't mind at all. Turn the radio off or back on. And that was the end of my test. And you know what? I passed that test. Now, I was in my lower nature, but I passed that test. And I got to put a drop in my virtues drug. And, you know, it's such a little thing. But it's such a profound thing when you understand how this stuff works. So there's lots and lots of learning to do when you get into something really stressful and really serious. And gosh, can I do one? Can I just do one more thing? Is anybody there?
We gave until 12:45.
What time is it?
It's 12:30. So 12:54.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I got a 2-minute thing, but we'll do it another time.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hold that for another time. We really
the rules. I'll put the rules up. I'll get them. We've already talked about some of them. I'll just read them real quick. I'll just read them real quick, and that'll be the end of it. Okay.
Cool.
9 rules in the rules of the game of life. Number 1, as a human being, you have 2 natures, a higher nature and a lower nature. Rule number 2, in every situation, you have a choice to act from your higher nature or your lower nature. Rule number 3, every experience of your life is a pass-fail test. When you act from your higher nature, you pass. When you act from your lower nature, you fail. Rule number 4, thoughts are more powerful than feelings. Rule number 5, everything happens for a reason. And I'll add this for me. Everything happens for a reason, and the reason why everything happens is for me, Scott Kinsey, to learn how to act from my higher nature. Number 6, the purpose of life is to learn how to act from your higher nature. Rule number 7, you learn how to act from your higher nature by connecting with higher nature people. Number 8, each day a new game starts. And rule number 9, if you want to have a Hall of Fame career in the game of life, you must win as many games as possible. So, thank you for allowing me to come. It was a bounty to be able to do this with you. If anybody wants to talk with me further or have me help steer them down the line, I'm happy to do so.
We really thank you for your time, your energy, and despite our little hang up, which by the time everyone watching this will not really have to worry about anyway after this fact. With the people here on the Zoom with us now, we appreciate your forbearance with our little hang up that we had in the midst of the presentation. But as you see, in this presentation, we did a lot, we covered a lot, and it was very worth it. We appreciate it, Mr. Kinsey, for appearing here today with us on Zoom, and we look forward to having you again, and we will definitely learn from all of our experiences that we got from this very, very comprehensive introduction, yet so much not enough. We are so we did not even scratch, I feel, the surface of the.
We did not. And if I could suggest, invite Don Streets to come and give a talk. He would add a lot to this. But thank you so much for having me. And let me also say that this is a real help to me. This is the first time I've tried to do anything like this. And this will help me in my ability to present it to others.
Well, you are an amazing speaker, and we really appreciate you appearing here today. And again, we look forward to having you, as we know you've come to Clearwater years ago and made a presentation in person. We are looking forward to having you again online. So as this crisis, the coronavirus crisis continues, we'll be continuing these online presentations weekly. Feel free, if you're watching this from wherever you may be right now, that you look at www.clearwaterbaha'is.org, and you'll see our events that are posted. And if you see that we still have our Zoom meetings going on, you'll know that probably we're still doing it. And If you want to see our previous videos, you can go to youtube.com/user/ClearwaterBahá'ís/live to see our live videos, or just take the live off and go to our page, Clearwater Bahá'ís. Thank you again. We appreciate your time, and we hope you have a beautiful Sunday.
Aloha.
Aloha.